What's going on, guys? Today we are updating the wide receiver tier list. Of course, before we get started, if you are part of the 63% of people who have watched the videos and are not subscribed, head down there, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and I will be live tonight on Twitch, link in the description, at around 8 p.m. Eastern time, so I hope to see you there. But as far as the wide receiver tier list goes, over the last month, we've kind of transitioned into the complete end game here in Madden 24, and we're going to start seeing that. Of course, we have draft promo on Thursday, probably golden tickets in about a month or so. Things are really starting to ramp up here in Madden 24 as every single card is pretty damn good. And the wide receivers are a prime example of this. You could probably use every single wide receiver on this tier list. I'm not even kidding. On a theme team, some of these guys can reach easy 98 speed on a theme team. Like, you can use every single card on this tier list, and we usually don't say that until the end game here, but we're in the end game. Like, the fact like CD Lamb with 97 speed with decent abilities, nothing crazy, his C tier is crazy. This card can definitely still play at a high level. Like Christian Watson at B tier. Even like I do like Chris Collinsworth a lot. Jimmy Smith down here, MVS with I think 97 speed with his height is crazy. Even Michael Pittman on any theme team, decent abilities with 98 speed with his height. Cortland Sutton on a Broncos team's great, and Nico Collins 98 speed. So really every single wide receiver on here, I'm going to say it right now, can be used on a team. But it's end game, and of course some are still better than others. Okay, our first wide receiver today is going to be the limited time Keenan Allen. So when it comes to ranking wide receivers in the end game of any Madden year, you're looking for good abilities that can set the card apart. Obviously speed and decent height. I don't like receivers that are like too tall all over my field. Like, I don't like that as much. But I think like 6 foot to 6'2" is it's like the perfect height this year for avoiding KOs and getting good possession catches and things like that. Too small, you're gonna have some problems with route running and after the catch and things like that, which can be covered up by some abilities, as you're gonna see as we go throughout the rankings. But Keenan Allen, to me, 98 speed. I really do like his ability stack. The only thing he's missing to me is a jukebox, but route tech and red zone threat is really good. I think that's a really good setup on Keenan Allen for Keenan Allen. So with that being said, Keenan Allen, I think, is going to kind of land somewhere up in here. I think he's up in here because if we take a look at a guy like Stephon Diggs' card, who I probably should talk about him. He's a pretty good card too. Stephon Diggs LTD, just very expensive. That's the only problem with him. He's a little bit smaller than Keenan Allen. And then for the abilities, he does get the 1 AP evasive with the free route tech. So that's why, or you could even go with deep elite evasive. So you have options with Stephon Diggs. So that's why I would put Stephon in front of Keenan. But I do like route tech red zone too. But I think any kind of jukebox or evasive ability is huge on a wide receiver. It's probably the best wide receiver ability in the game right now, in my opinion. And next up, we have the limited time Demaryius Thomas. This card is one I used for a while, and yeah, I think he was like one of the first 99 overall, right? Like cards or whatever in the game. I mean, not one of the first, but like, one of the first ones that like actually came out, not a Super Bowl MVP or whatever. So he was pretty hyped up when we first saw this card, but 98 speed, 99 acceleration. I mean, the card plays fine. He plays well. To me, he doesn't play like he's super crazy. I think this card, I had mid in and mid out on him. He does get 1 AP red zone. I like red zone, but I don't like paying for red zone. So, mid in and mid out is what I was using. If you have a tactician QB, these two abilities don't matter. You don't need them. So it's either mid in and red zone threat or mid in and mid out. So, Demaryius Thomas, just very mid abilities, and that's what he suffers from. That's really it. I mean, he's a great card, but to me, he suffers from just getting mid ability. So I'm going to put him at high B tier, which is crazy for a 99 overall card that gets 98 speed and all this stuff. But I don't know. To me, he just wasn't needle moving. He was solid, like a mid, which is why he's in B tier, but he wasn't like crazy good for me. You know what I mean? He wasn't like unstoppable. You know what I mean? So I can't put him any higher than B tier. I really can't. And next up, we have a card that might be only 5'10", but is one of those cards that definitely does play well, and that's Tank Dell. 98 speed, 97 acceleration, good route running across the board, decent release, good after the catch. Obviously cannot run block a lick because he does weigh 165. If we head down here, though, the abilities on this card are very Stephon Diggs-like, where he gets free evasive, free deep elite. Free evasive, free deep elite, and if he was as tall as Stephon Diggs, he probably would be over Stephon Diggs. He would be, because you're able to get evasive and deep elite for free. That's crazy. And then, or you could use route tech too, or third down threat, but why would you ever use that? So Tank Dell, good card, really good card. I think he's a very underrated card. If he was 6 foot, 6'1", he might end up here, but of course, in endgame Madden, the difference between here and here is it's a pretty thin margin, to be honest. So Tank Dell, we're going to leave him at the bottom of A tier, but a really nice card that plays well and gets really good abilities. Next man up is Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this card to me is like your perfect kind of wide receiver 2 in the end game. I mean, obviously he can be your wide receiver 1, but I feel like as a 2 is where this card drives better. Maybe your number 1 has your wide receiver X factors. So Amon-Ra St. Brown to me fits that second role perfectly. He's not too short. He's 6 foot. He can hold his own with his speed. He gets easy 2x Y2K chem, so you could toss him on any Y2K team. Add Charles Tillman. Add any of the the no fly zone corners with Travis Kelce's AKA card. It's very easy to get him that 99 speed. I think he's a nice wide receiver too. And then for the abilities, he does get free jukebox, as well as you are able to pay for route tech, which I like, and slot apprentice as well if you need that. But for his X factors, he does get route tech, AKA, and third down threat, AKA. That's why I say he's a good like wide receiver too, because I don't love his X factors, but I think the little jukebox route tech combo with his after the catch stats and his size and his speed and his Y2K chems, I think without question is going to have to put. I think I would put Amon-Ra. It's tough to say, but I think I would put Amon-Ra over Andre Reed with Yak, because there are better there's like 2 or 3 better wide receiver options that get Yak than Yak himself. So odds are you're running one of those guys already, especially like Darius Hayward-Bay, and I'll talk about the other 2 in a second. There might actually be more. No, there's more than that actually. But I would probably put Amon-Ra high A tier. I would probably do that. If he had one of those good X factors, he might be a little bit higher with those stats, but really solid card, and a card I definitely recommend picking up and adding to any team. And next up, we have Garrett Wilson. I was, of course, very excited to see this card and see the Jets get some love. All we need is that Brees the Beast, AKA now. But Garrett Wilson, 98 speed, 98 acceleration. This is an example of a card with amazing stats, right? Amazing stats, but the abilities, EA was at the rim and they just missed the layup. I mean, it was all you had to do was give him jukebox. Garrett Wilson, one of the best after the catch wideouts in the game. They at least gave him that respect here with 99 juke, 99 COD with 95 carrying, but they didn't give him jukebox. And I mean, 1 AP route tech's good, third down threat's good, but unfortunately against these wide receivers, the ones that are going to be in S tier and A tier, it's tough to really compete with those guys. So to me, I would probably put G-Dub somewhere in this range. Even like Andre Johnson, to me, it does more than Garrett Wilson, and I'll explain why. That's not indeed how you spell Andre Johnson, there he is. So Andre Johnson's solid because he has this extra aspect to his game, which is his run blocking. And of course, he's amazing after the catch, can juke, can truck, good carrying, good high break tackle, 6'3". The abilities are also pretty solid on this card too, where he gets route tech and run off. Route tech run off to me is better than what Garrett Wilson gets, which is route tech and third down threat, which doesn't really do anything. Or you can even go with route tech, deep elite, whatever you want to do. I think Andre Johnson is just a slightly better receiver than Garrett Wilson. Of course, Mike Irvin gets decent abilities, not great abilities, but does also get yak him up, which is big. Honestly, Mike Irvin could get dropped a little bit. Mike Irvin could get dropped. He could, and I guess I should explain why. It's just because he gets AKA yak him up, so it turns on, comes back. But the abilities, I guess 2 AP jukebox with 2 AP route tech. I mean, 0 AP jukebox with 2 AP route tech is still solid enough. I would probably still keep him pretty much. I might, no, that's even tough. I might do this. I might do that. That's even a little dicey. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what just happened right there, but yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it with this. We'll go Mike Irvin. I think it's very close, and then you could argue that Hines Ward gets yak him up too. Like, you know, I think I would do that. I don't hate. Mike Irvin's tanking right now. I'll put him right there. I'm good with that. Okay, that's as far as I'll go. We'll leave him there. We got nothing but 99 overalls and Randy Moss left, but let's get started here with Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle, great card, okay? I'm going to say right now he's a great card. 5'10", 99 speed, 99 acceleration. This is all base. He does no boost needed, no boost necessary. 99 juke move, 98 COD. And the abilities on these new AKA Cruise card, which I think are going to be crazy to end the year. Even with this drop, I mean, it was crazy because they got pre-baked abilities, X Factors, and 2 ability slots, which is 2 discounted slots with a pre-baked and X Factors, is just stupid good. So, Jaylen Waddle does get yak him up, which is great, fantastic. Pre-baked jukebox, which you guys know I just said I loved. And he also does get 1 AP route tech and joystick, which isn't great. And that's why I would pick his other partner over him for sure, even though it's a 1-inch height difference. But at that point, you're already down there. Might as well get as low as possible. You know what I mean? I guess that's not actually true, but you know what I mean. Okay, actually, you don't know what I mean. I don't know what I'm saying. But I guess you would probably go, what would you go? Like joystick for free, I guess you could run it. It doesn't do much, but joystick, jukebox, route tech, Yakum. That's pretty good. Or if you want to go slot O for 1, you could do that too. You know, it's up to you. You know, route tech, slot O, yak, and jukebox for 2. That's not bad either. You know, there's options there. So I think Jaylen Waddle, again, smaller receivers to me do have a certain spot in this game. To me, still, in my opinion, if the abilities are good. His abilities are loaded. He's very loaded. He can really be on, like, I wouldn't say put him on the outside, but like as a slot guy, kind of get the ball in his hands kind of guy, short yardage guy. He's going to be great. And I still think short receivers have a place in this game. I would say height's probably the least important this year. I mean, it never hurts to have height, but it's probably the least important with how KOs play this year. Not everybody has them. So it doesn't matter if you're 5'5" or 6'9". If a mid-zone KO runs into you, you're not catching it, okay? But at least if you're a little bit smaller, your target's smaller, your possession catches a little bit lower to the ground, you know what I mean? You're able to kind of work your way around them. So I do think there is a place for small receivers in this game. I might have to say that. Do I think fill up your whole receiving core with guys who are 5'9"? No. But I think it doesn't hurt to have one guy that's a little smaller. It doesn't hurt at all. I think it's actually pretty helpful. Okay, before we move forward, okay? You know, a wide receiver tier list or any tier list with me can be a bit of a roller coaster, but I do think we need to make one adjustment. Because in my head, when I made this tier list last night, I was like, Andre Reed's a stud, he's a stud, he's a stud, but I think Andre Reed's a bit of a mover. I'm not going to lie, he does get Yakum up. 97 speed at 6'2", but, and 1 AP route tech's great as well, but he lacks the jukebox. He does get apprentices, but you don't need those if you have tacticians at this point of the year. I think Andre Reed's a big faller. I don't think he's going to fall down a tier, but I think he is considered, I think he's a faller. And you're also going to see how Amon-Ra St. Brown is now up to S tier. That's because we're about to, you know, the card I'm about to talk about next has affected a couple of these things. So we'll talk about that in a second. And this man is Larry Fitzgerald, okay? Larry Fitzgerald, to me, is a card that I initially overrated. I was going to put him up here in S tier, but you know, only because I like Larry and I want this card to be good. But the reality of these draft cards are their stats are great, but the abilities are simply like they're very underwhelming abilities. 6'3", 218, has a great build, a decent run blocker, great after the catch, can do everything, can truck, can stiff arm, can break tackles, can make a guy miss. He's got a good juke animation, good route runner. The card's going to play fine, but he's not going to play special. And that's the big difference with Larry Fitzgerald compared to some of the guys that you're going to see in S tier. But route tech and third down threat really, I've never actually seen third down threat work. I swear I've never actually seen it. Like naturally, I've never seen it ever work. I don't know. It seems like I've never seen it. So route tech, third down threat, or route tech matchup nightmare, 2 AP setup for 2 abilities. Yeah, I like matchup nightmare, I guess, but to me, Larry Fitzgerald misses the mark a little bit to me, and we're gonna put him over Julio Jones. Let's take a quick look at Julio Jones' card just to refresh you guys on Julio. Julio Jones is a solid card who gets pretty decent abilities, like red zone threat. I think he does get X factors as well, like Most, or don't worry about rack on it, but Most is definitely a good one. But red zone threat and deep leader is a good combo there. Third down threat, again, don't run that, but pretty good abilities on Julio Jones, all standing at 6'3" with 97 speed, which is very good. And of course, the combine strat card does still work, so he pretty much has the same speed, but I could really see these two being interchanged for each other, depending on if you want to run the route tech or not, or if you have the combine strat card or not. A couple of things factor in, but I'm gonna put Larry high A tier. You can even probably debate. You might be able to do something like this with this card. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You might be able to actually do that. I think I'm gonna do that. Because look, Keenan Allen gets better abilities. He's 6'2", 98 speed. Okay, great. Stephon Diggs gets the discounted evasive and route tech. I would probably take that over. I think it's route tech too, though. He does get route. It's tough. I'm going to sandwich him. I'm sandwiching him. That's the final answer. There you go. And next up, we have a juiced version of Andre Reed's Yak card, and that is Terry McLaurin. 99 speed, 97 acceleration, the route running crazy, 6', 210. All past promo theme teams. Here you go. Ball carrier, he's solid. He's Terry McLaurin. His cards always play great, right? For the abilities and X factors, he of course does get Yak 'em Up. It's the big one. That's the big one right there. And then for the X factors, or sorry, the abilities, he does get free evasive, free red zone threat, which is stupid. Free evasive, free runoff, which helps you in the run, or free evasive, free route tech, or sorry, 1 AP route tech, which I love. I mean, this card is so damn good, bro. I really cannot say it enough. I think he, to me, like, the thing about man, I would probably keep him behind Darrius Heyward-Bey still, because I think the NFL Combine Yak is far superior to the AKA Yak. And then Darrius Heyward-Bey is also taller. Darrius Heyward-Bey gets route tech and evasive too. I guess Terry's got some better versatility because he's able to get some of the other stuff like red zone threat as well for free, or even run all for free. I guess that can give him the advantage, but I would probably go like they're pretty much back to back with each other. Heyward-Bey and Scary Terry. Scary Terry's a very good card, though. Very good card, and I'll probably try to buy him once his card price continues to dip or his Redux does come out. And next up, we have Devin Hester, and we're gonna rate this card like you're using your Ring of Honor token on him, because that does take the card kind of to the next level. You're able to get Yak 'em Up Combine, which is the same, of course, as Darrius Heyward-Bey gets. It's him and it's only him. Yeah, Darrius Heyward-Bey and Devin Hester that get that NFL Combine Yak. I do believe, right? Am I missing one? Oh, Bo Jackson too, and Tony G gets it as well. Damn. Okay, there's a couple guys, a couple demons out there that get it. But Devin Hester, so for his pre-bakes, he gets Return Man and Energizer, which is obviously big. Energizer is actually pretty big for after the catch, but it's bigger for kick returns where you don't lose stamina with Return Man, which is crazy. Break the first tackle every single time. And then with the abilities, you're going to go Route Tech. The only problem, is again, the weird thing to me is the lack of a jukebox on Hester. How does the man not get a jukebox? Even with a token, in my opinion, he should get that. So Deep Elite to me, still KOs are going to work against it. Playmaker you're not going to use, so you're definitely going to use Route Tech here. You're probably going to go with a runoff here or mid-in, but if you use Route Tech, you're probably going to go with, or if you go deep in, I guess you could go mid-in, or Deep Elite, you could go mid-in. You know what I mean? So your next choice kind of decides on, depends on what you do in this slot. And for the last slot, you can kind of do whatever, so you probably go with, whichever one you didn't go with there, or just go short out Elite. But then it's kind of expensive, so, Route Tech, let's say you go Route Tech, runoff, and maybe Deep Elite, what's that, 2 AP, and you get Energizer and Return Man and Yak. It's obviously a very good stack. I think it's very good. I am going to put Terry in front of Hester. I think I would rather have Terry than Devin Hester, because also the way I look at it is, if you have Terry McLaurin on your team instead of Hester, you still have your Ring of Honor token that you can use on Eric Dickerson, you can use on Mike Vick, you can use on Tony G, you can use on LT, you could use on JJ Watt, you can use to make Paul Malu the god stack safety in the game. So to me, Hester's probably the worst one to use your token on, as there are already receivers in the game that are able to do what he can do without having to waste a token. You know what I mean? You can, and even if you use him without the token, you're still going to get the pretty big, he's still going to be a very good return, man. All you do is lose the Yak. So he's still, to me, it's just not worth to use the token on Hester. Even if you have one of his theme teams, I don't even think it's worth it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I don't think it is. Unless you want to use the other cards for the boost, too. And I guess he has some he has some cards that do get some pretty decent boost for his, for his inductees or his, teammates or whatever. Sidekicks, whatever they were calling them. But I'm going to put Hester up here at S tier. Will he finish in the top 5? No. But he's definitely solid. And I might even go Mike Evans over him, to be honest. Nah, that's tough. These two are pretty interchangeable. Even Cub's kind of a dog, man. Y'all want to sleep on that Cooper Cub card. He's a demon. We are down to our final 3 cards, and we got Randy Moss. Base 99 speed, 97 acceleration, amazing stats as a ball carrier and a receiver. Of course, 6'4", 210, great after the catch. And my goodness, did they juice this Randy card. I'm glad that EA is noticing that we want to have good ULs. Not sure why that took them so long. I'm not sure why it took them so long to realize that, but they at least started giving us good ULs in the recent weeks, which is, I love that for content in this game. It makes the game so much better. But they juiced him, man. They gave him Jukebox, they gave him Route Tech, or you could even go Deep Elite. On a taller card, Deep Elite becomes a little bit more worth it because they have that bigger, wider range. You can somewhat add, you know what I mean? With Deep Elite, it definitely helps out a little bit. So, yeah, Deep Elite, Jukebox, Route Tech is probably the best setup. And this card also does He does get the Moss UL ability, which I don't really remember how it activates. Okay, yeah, you have to make two 20-yard catches, and then it's on for 10 plays. So Moss UL, great ability, great X factor. I do think it is one worth using. I mean, if you're good with it, to me, I get myself in trouble using it because all I want to do is throw the ball deep. But also, Randy is a fantastic buy for 400K. To me, what is a top 2 receiver in the game right now is Randy Moss for sure. Harold's great. Don't get me wrong. I think Harold's great, but I think out of the top 3 receivers in the game, which to me are Harold, Randy, and of course, you know who number 1's going to be. But I think he's probably the 3rd option. I mean, he's got good size. He's 6'8". And then for the abilities, like, they're solid. I mean, the lack of a route tech. I mean, I like getting matchup Nightmare Deep Elite, which is probably the setup for that you would run on him because you want to put Deep Elite on Harold Carmichael. But I do think he's the worst of these, like, taller wideouts. But he's still a top 3 wide receiver in the game. I just think I would definitely rather have Randy than Carmichael. I feel like he's just more versatile, as Carmichael sometimes does move a little bit clunky, but that's only sometimes. Other times, you love to have a dude who's 6'8" out there running routes for you. Next up, we have the heavily debated Tyreek Hill. Is this card worth running? The first thing I would say is it's not worth, unless you have a Dolphins team, it's not worth buying 2 Tyreek Hills and 2 Jaylen Waddles and fully powering them up and giving them +1 of one of the position groups. To me, that's not worth it. That's not worth it at all unless you have a Dolphins team and you're like a dedicated Dolphins theme teamer and you want to boost the rest of your team. That's the only way it's worth it, because we're at that point of the year where cards are already so damn good, you don't need that +1 speed boost on a lot of cards in this game. But of course, Y2K, not that really matters because the man has already got 99 speed and all that good stuff. But I will say Tyreek Hill, to me, has the best wide receiver ability stack in the game. I think he really does. I like 100%. He gets Yak, which is the first check mark right there. He gets Yak, gets pre-baked route technician, which I love. Then he gets Jukebox, and you could go Deep Elite. I think Deep Elite doesn't really make too much sense on a guy who's 5'9", but you could run it. I mean, it's only 20 yards down the field plus, which isn't like crazy. But still, KOs will affect it. It makes you maybe a little bit more consistent. So Deep Elite, Jukebox, route tech, and Yak for 1 AP. It's a very good setup. The card is very good, okay? As far as the abilities go, he's very good. But unfortunately, I don't think he actually beats out Terry McLaurin, in my opinion. I would rather have the extra height. They both get Yak. They both get like a Jukebox or evasive. They both get, a route tech, or I think, red zone threat's pretty good too on Terry McLaurin. So I would definitely pick Terry over Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill, I think, is still pretty good. I think, again, he gets the best ability stack in the game right now for a wide receiver. Unfortunately, the height does hurt the card a little bit, as smaller receivers in this game, their only pro is the fact that they're smaller, and it's harder for KOs to hit them if you're good at swerving, catching, and things like that. But small receivers have problems getting separation in man-to-man coverage, getting separation in general, because they have the shorter strides. Also, after the catch, although Tyreek Hill gets Yak up in Jukebox, and same with Jaylen Waddle, they still are going to have a shorter, smaller juke animation because they're only, 5'10", 5'9", compared to a guy like Randy Moss, who's 6'4", and covers so much more ground. That's why running backs like Dickerson and Bo Jackson play so well, because they're 6'+", and they move crazy laterally because they cover more distance than a running back who's 5'9" or 5'10". That's just how the game works. So that's another problem with Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill almost was top 5 today. I thought he was going to make it, but unfortunately he does fall one spot short at number 6. And at number 1, you all saw it coming from about a mile away. That is Calvin Johnson. Easy number 1 here. 6'5", 99 speed, 98 acceleration. Receiving stat-wise, he's just crazy. He can even run block on this card. I mean, this is literally a golden ticket card we're looking at right now. The abilities, they're pretty good. I mean, he does not get a special X factor, but I love the pre-baked red zone threat. I love the flexibility for a 0 AP setup. You can go Jukebox, Deep Elite, and red zone threat for 0 with his stats. That is stupid. And then if you want, he's kind of like your deep threat with Deep Elite and red zone threat and Jukebox. And you can obviously use someone else that's going to be your route tech wideout. But still, Calvin Johnson gets the after the catch ability, gets the Deep Elite or the route tech, which I think is one or the other. And then also kind of gets that bonus red zone threat with his build and his stats and his run blocking. Sign me up. Calvin Johnson, wide receiver number 1 right now in Madden 24 Ultimate Team. So here is our wide receiver tier list. Again, you can realistically use any of the cards in today's video. That's how deep we are into the year. Like, Beam Team Jerry Jeudy gets 99 speed. That's great. That's awesome. He can definitely play. He might play like a demon for you. But our top 5 today, Calvin 1, Randy 2, Carmichael 3, Darius Hayward-Bay still in the top 5 at number 4. And then we have Terry McLaurin at number 5. Two pretty similar receivers at 4 and 5. And then Tyreek Hill on the outside looking in at number 6. And Devin Hester as well. I feel like people are probably going to say that Hester is snubbed, but I really don't feel that way. I really don't feel like he really is. I don't feel that way. I don't. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't feel that way. But either way, thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you boys in the next one.